For me, directing is about entertaining. The Mummy movies are a romantic, fun romp with some mind-blowing special effects. You know, I love that. It's a great combo.
The epicness is the best part of this movie, you know, the big action scenes.
It's very epic style battles, which is always fun to try and give a different edge to.
Sometimes Rob is like a spring day.
Go, Jim. Happy.
So the days he's Hurricane Katrina.
Action! Make it count. Let's do this once.
Hi, Rob.
Less than 8 weeks. It's getting scary, actually. Good thing we don't shoot the whole movie on the first day.
Rob coming on was one of the great good fortunes that the movie could have. We had always set the movie in China. Rob has his own great cultural knowledge and enthusiasm of this exact area.
This is all about using Chinese history in a kind of unusual way, using the great goodwill of the Mummy, the great characters that Steve Summers set up.
People always go, oh, but you didn't direct it. I'm like, oh, look, I love it. I love the franchise, and I love the characters, and I just hope that it keeps getting better and better.
And this one is edgier and bigger and a little more, you know, like a film of mine.
You need to bring together so many skill sets in the director. You know, they have to be able to mount such a very, very complex and difficult production.
This show it really is a playground. You have it all, 2 different periods, different countries. It's really incredible.
I think for the running shot, we can have the floor pushed all the way up against the wall.
So 2 shots, one on the floor, and then we can move the floor back here.
And then the floor drops, right? So boom, boom.
So let him run like
So he's
the
here and he
2-3
runs.
steps.
Yep.
Gets to here, we cut to this angle. I think we can sell it.
Okay.
I think for the length of time, we're cool. We are superb. We just got to go do it now.
A week from Friday, the big shoot begins.
They have such an excellent facility in Montreal. There are so many talented sculptors, designers, artists.
We're building the set for the movie. It's going to be a big cavern.
I have a question. I have the mold, the statue. It's 25 inch. This is only 21 inch. We have a statue here, we can see it.
So this is going to have to get a little redesign on it quickly.
The front of the chariot's going to have to be altered because you see we can't really fit. So we're now 1.5 days before shooting going to alter the whole front of the chariot.
You have these issues all the way through, and then eventually you're done.
I just want to tell you, I'm really so happy to be making this movie with all of you.
The first day we started filming, Rob was like, everyone hold hands.
He gathered everybody in the casting crew, and we all stood in the circle.
I think you can never quite have enough appreciation for the fact that we get to do this. We have a little family. That's what I hope we will be as a filmmaking family.
He said, this journey of the next 5 months is going to be like a circle. We're starting here, and we're coming back to here, and each one of us is responsible to keep this circle together.
Allons nous!
I never was in an editing room where I said, gee, I had too much coverage.
It's a lot of logistics and planning. You have 7 cameras and 24 people in the camera department working with the DP and the director, setting the shot, talking about everything that we want to try to accomplish, and then marshaling these forces to sort of put it all together.
It's like you got to make this like war footage, right? It's too perfectly framed. Shake things up.
Action! Okay, John, Mom's up there. And cut, good.
We're starting to get into the meat of what these movies are about. This is the first stunt that we're doing on the picture.
We're setting up for the big rope swing.
So this is basically the start of the whole fight.
And one camera will be over Brendan. Whenever you have to put the cameras in odd corners, you usually know you're on the right track.
Today we're swinging two main actors, Alex and Lynn, off the scaffolding. We have 3 riggers operating. Because they swing off, we have to vary their actual height and land them, so they're actually operating the whole system through a system of pulleys so that they can raise and lower them onto the ground and land them. It's mainly getting the timing right.
You're obviously nervous that it all goes correctly. Fear of failure is the biggest fear in the film business, I always find. Even stuntmen, they don't worry so much about getting hurt as failing. Not today, we hope.
Tagline for Isabella, make sure that she's safe.
Cameras. Okay, now, action.
Cutting there. Well done.
Nice. Guns ready to fire.
Rob was very helpful in encouraging me to take a combat guns training course.
Let him learn to work with it.
Fire! Gunfire! Pocket.
I needed to gain some respect for how they work, the different types of them, the period guns.
Have you ever seen a Walther P38?
Tommy's at 38s, the Colt 1911.
The Thompson submachine gun.
And there's a lot of them, but that's Rick O'Connell. I mean, he can pick up any weapon and make it work.
My stunt training and gun training was one of the most fun things I've ever done in my life.
You look great. Look like Katharine Hepburn shooting a gun. We had a good start. The actors are settling nicely into their roles. I think there's a good flow now, and it'll only get better. Come back here on Monday and we can really kick some ass.
You look to Alex.
By the time the camera is here, I've already finished all the hits.
Well, it's our first date, Gateway set, so I'm very eager to get it on film. Gun battles, there are different ways to shoot them, and I just thought there's a certain flow, adrenaline that the actors get when it's a real they're give and take, and they feel like they're really in a battle scene.
The next setup will have gunfire and bullet hits.
We've got bullet hits on the side. You're going to be behind the column over there, and he's going to be firing at you.
But Brendan's firing whenever he feels like it. On action, it's putting in a stick mag and firing.
We crane out on action then?
Yep. Out when he gets to it.
Yeah, we've got a 50-foot techno crane, and we've got a 33-foot Equipment Extreme T12.
It goes in on you very close. So you get good actors like these are to react in a very real way to a firefight situation. That's what a director does, is create the context in which performers can really find the truth of this given moment.
And shooting. 3, 2, 1, action!
It's pretty amazing to be here on this location in Montreal, pretending to be the Himalayas. Because when you get out there on that set, it's extremely convincing.
I've never seen snow in my life, so this is the closest I've been to snow, you know? It's kind of really cool.
Good morning. We need to fasten this to the pants. We're doing the post-avalanche sequence. After the avalanche is wiped out, the Buddhist temple, all our characters are buried alive.
For me, it's really exciting to see the accomplishment of getting to this point, seeing what was once just an idea on a piece of paper, now movie magic.
And then 4 or 5 days from now, we'll be out of here and they'll be taking it down, you know? There's something about the ephemeral nature of sets, because you get to do it, you get to make it a vision of your own and show things that people have never seen before, and then it all blows away.
But that's okay, because in fact, in a way, it is permanent, because it's on film forever.
Gimbals on the move.
Say to yourself, well, how would you do it if we had a real functioning bullfighter? And you would probably have a helicopter, and you'd have 2 aircraft trying to travel at the same speed, but 2 planes, as much as they want to stay in parallel concert, they wouldn't be able to. So the cameramen would constantly be fishing for this subject. So in order to do that here on a stage, you kind of deconstruct the shot as it would be done for real and try to create that feeling with the equipment we have available.
3, 2, 1, done!
The hope is we'll convince people we were truly flying around.
And cut! Excellent! Fritz, wrap on Brendan Fritz!
Do that again.
Ready? I'll go first.
I love it when the cast gets along with each other. I've been on movies where it's tense and it's not fun. So when they like each other, you see that in the film.
And roll down. And back.
A worldwide star, Jet Li, started today. And I'm very happy to see the Emperor finally walking on these sets. He brings it to life. Even the villains have an emotional life. It helps make these guys people. So Jet has embraced that.
Today we're here to set Jet Li's hands on fire and hopefully have him make a ball of fire into a ball of ice.
And he shapes like a sun.
Well, he'll be doing real fire. He'll have the fire retardant stuff on his hands.
He watched a few rehearsals and he said he was okay with it. I'm sure he's going to be fine. He's been doing stunts a long time, but I have to say I've never lit anyone this big on fire before.
All right, do you do any makeup checks now before we gel?
Thank you, Patrick. It's very cold.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Perfect. You only have a little time before you feel some heat.
Roll sound.
Ready, and 3, 2, 1.
Fire.
And put it out. Everybody good? Okay. Glad we're done with that.
That's quite a tricky shot with the hands, as you saw there. Very impressive.
You're a brave man.
I'm just going to lie around on a stretcher for this morning, and then I'm going to take my shirt off. Someone's going to pour magic water on me, and everything will be fine. Life is good.
Okay, so then I'll say pour, and then awake.
We're not even in China yet. That's when things get really real. Once you get there, the location becomes a character in the movie even more so.
And cut. Very good. For Montreal, it's a wrap.
We haven't really even gotten to the big stuff yet, so what lies ahead is going to be great fun.
I love a quick start.
Interesting morning. First morning in China.
All right, ready? Let's go. When you're here, like we are on the first day of shooting here for a main unit, it's an army. When you have 1,200 people on your crew, you're really a little military operation. The transportation, communications, equipment, food supply, and especially when you're coming out to the middle of the desert.
I mean, this really is like a massive archaeological dig. It's just fantastic.
I just feel a new reality has gripped the picture. This will give it authority.
It's bloody cold out here.
And the door's open. It's backlit. He comes through the door as a silhouette.
Well, basically the way I've worked is I've scheduled it with PJ that we're shooting it where the light's perfect, so we're shooting towards the east in the morning and towards the west for sunset. Fortunately, the sand's dark enough that it's not reflecting too much light, but just sort of giving a nice warm glow, which is what we're after. I think we have crews from several countries, all speaking different languages, but everyone's getting on really well. It's sort of universal film language. It always works.
33, take one on A.
Remember, there's a continue. If the dust is engulfing you, I'm gonna have to wait till it clears. Let's see what happens.
Set, ready, and action! Hold on, the smoke is still a little heavy. Calm down. All right, and action. And cut.
Cutting now.
All right, good, very good. Let's hear it for effect.
Shit, you had it coming for you, big fella.
Start out of the film, you can feel whether the movie gods are blessing you with magic. We've had nothing but blessings. We never lost a day for weather. And we're now in our 73rd or 4th day of shooting.
Yeah, we're rained out. We haven't had anything remotely close to being rained out or couldn't do whatever we had planned.
What do you do when you get rain?
Shoot. Figure out a way to use it. There's always a way to find a good thing in a bad situation. This heavy mist, beautiful, pearlescent, you know, nature's given us a 360 uni light.
And shooting, bell up.
And action crane. Thank you for a really great day. It was an ass-kicking day, but we got some great scenes. It was very difficult getting this much today. It was a real stretch, but we made it. What we've been able to create, capture in this area, it's been really fantastic. But I'm definitely ready to go to Shanghai and have a bath.
Right now we're in Shanghai Film Studio. We are 1 hour away from Shanghai city, and this is the biggest studio in Shanghai.
Day 76, first night shoot. That's pretty good. I'm happy. Get up at noon, go to bed at dawn. Much more the schedule I keep normally. Yeah, man, now we're back in the pocket of righteousness. All the toys, all the fun.
We're going to light you from here, right before action, literally on the light
here,
when you're up.
This looks nice, though. Looks very nice.
Your backs, everybody.
Pay attention to all the crap we were crashing through.
I'll hold here.
Yeah, you'll hold there.
Yeah, okay.
I think I'm just going to ignore that part.
Fantastic. He played it so beautifully. He just had great timing, great energy. It was a great bit.
We have a trolley, and we probably have several hundred pounds of fireworks in it.
We expect to see a lot of fireworks. A lot of
I'm watching this.
We've got our stunt team around here on the pavements.
3, 2, 1, bang!
All right, stand by. Let's get ready to shoot.
There we go. We're running. Fireworks are going off. And hizo.
Fireworks, right? Boom!
Check the gate. What's next?
Isabella's gonna pop in.
This shot, I will be sitting inside with Luke.
So on action, you guys get up, and it's like, whoa!
Well, how much do you love this thing? I mean, honestly, I walked on the set today and I said, now we're making a movie because we got that thing. We got a thing on tracks, and then it's on that other gizmo, and then it'll spin around.
It's just to get you guys in sharp focus, but the whole world is a blur.
Roll down.
And hizo. Anytime I, as a filmmaker, can give the audience a visceral feeling of any experience that the actors are having in a two-dimensional plane where I can't really spin them in their seats like an amusement park, it's something I aspire to do. You don't just watch the films, you experience them.
Unbelievably, today is Jet's last day, and it's really sort of sad on one hand, but also exciting on the other, because it means that we've completed such an important part of our adventure.
Are you set? Set. And hizo! And off. And cut. Very good. That's the last shot for the master, Jesse.
Thank you, everybody. Oh, no.
Today is the last day of the movie.
It's the last day of shoot.
The final day of production.
Day 89.
Man, it goes by fast.
It's always a strange day.
You're relieved that it's over, and yet there's a sense of loss.
People are happy to go back to their family, but at the same time, it's parting with people that we feel we've known more than our family for all that time.
I spent more time with you than I have with my wife in the last 9 months.
It's been quite a trip, literally and figuratively, across the planet. So many beautiful sets. It feels good.
This was all the good stuff in front of the camera and all the harmony behind it. Just a damn fine time. Making a big, swinging, swashbuckling, action-packed, charming, beautiful film. I'm a happy guy. And ladies and gentlemen, that is a wrap.
There we go.
Here we go.
Pretty amazing.
Better than New Year's Eve!
In the end, the 3 Mummy movies will have entertained like 1 billion people, and that is no small achievement.
There's something to be said for saving your best for last.
How about that for an ending? It's a journey of discovery of the movie. You can plan and write and storyboard, all that, but till you're standing on the location, you don't know.
You know, at first we were kind of terrified going into China because so much of the movie takes place there. We were spending so much money over there, but everybody's great, and the production values were fantastic.
As actors, we need a space to work in to really get a feel of the place.
This is the biggest, I think, biggest movie.
3, 2, 1, done!
All Mummy movies you shoot in multiple countries. This one we ended up shooting a lot of the soundstage work in Montreal, and we built just fantastic sets.
Big stuff.
This is the most fun that I've had shooting a movie, maybe ever.
I just killed you.
All right, let's go. I feel he's ready.
No movie of this size has ever been made in China.
We're breaking all kinds of new ground. That's what movie magic is about.
You could not have shot this sequence in America or anywhere else in the world.
I really want to push the envelope, and this movie is about as far as I can conceive of pushing it out, hopefully for the delight of the audience.
We're not in Egypt anymore. We're in China.
We were going to do a third one. We wanted it to be something unique and different. About 3 years ago, I saw this article on the terracotta warriors in China, and I started thinking, hey, mummies.
The minute I read it was China, that was it, because to me that wasn't a sequel. That was a whole new thing.
Rob loves China. He's had that in his background, which I didn't even know when we first started meeting.
I had been just dying to do a movie in and about China, and this couldn't ask for a better one than this. The interiors are 3/4 shot in Montreal, Canada, because of the setup at Mel's up there. You have great stages, you have camera departments. I like everybody being close together because that's when the synergy happens. Then we go to China. We shoot north of Beijing in the desert, and then we go down to shoot the Shanghai studios, where we're also building a number of sets for the big chase sequence and the nightclub and the museum in Shanghai.
It's very, very ambitious. Here we have all of the infrastructure and the whole crew and staff here, but simultaneously in China we have an entire crew coming together. So we're really mounting two productions at the same time.
We're in Montreal, Canada, at Mel's studio in Techno Park.
Montreal's a pleasure, as I say. To be able to work in a controlled environment like that is a luxury.
Welcome to the Himalayas. Sets are being built all over Montreal, even as we speak. This is what makes making movies really fun. Because you imagine something that doesn't exist, you kind of talk it through to death on paper, and one day you walk out and it's here. The whole movie, except for one sequence, takes place in China, but we're doing a lot of the interiors here in Quebec because French food is good too.
I'm staying in old Montreal, and I'm going to get fat here if I don't start working out more because the food is fantastic.
Terribly selfish of me, but I've loved Montreal.
Montreal has been astounding. You know, just feel the electricity.
I love Montreal. Want to move over here. I study a lot, try to pick up some French. Not French girl, not French, okay?
As a half Canadian myself, it's in the roots, it's in my genes. Am I in the shot? Hi, Mom.
We're out here on a river near Saint-Jérôme, which will substitute for an English trout stream.
Montreal's bringing on its beautiful summer weather for us. It's exactly what we wanted, a nice bleak English stream.
Welcome to the Muddy 3.
Today couldn't be better, believe it or not, in this weather.
Sure sells England.
Yep.
You know, we can afford it because ordering rain like this is can be expensive, but you know, this is a big movie and we want to make sure we got it right on day one. So that's kind of where we're at this morning.
Ready? And action!
Right on this.
Switch straight! And action, Brandon. Cut! That's a wrap!
Happy as a pig in... Get away from me, man. Get that lens away from me. I'll do it, I will.
This is the living room of the O'Connells. It's humble and small in their little country cottage. That would be great.
Okay, let's get up for rehearsal, please. Camera 1.
All right, let's bring in the frog.
We'll be rolling.
Brenda.
Roll the camera, roll the camera.
You got Renee here with the frog?
Oh, you know. Here he comes. Come on, buddy. You can do it. You're a movie frog now.
Second floor.
I know exactly how you feel.
If you want.
Help me! Help me! I'm out of here.
So you have to walk like you're going up a very steep mountain. Make it look more like every step is an effort at the altitude and at the steepness.
Hey guys, set of Mummy 3 here in Montreal. Ooh, it's freezing out here. Here we are in Tibetan Himalayas. A train just went by. And if you take a look over there, you can see downtown Montreal. There's a yak down there. This is a really weird job sometimes.
Now we got to put the yak up here.
Which way do you want the yak facing? Facing that way.
The greatest challenge up here is we're working about 60 feet off the ground, and we're using every square piece of the set, so everything's coming in off cranes, and we're blocking out full sun so that we look like we're out in the Himalayas in overcast conditions. Even though it's a set build, it's actually quite a difficult one to shoot, but it looks fantastic.
Ready and action.
Today is our last shooting day in Montreal, and then everybody gets on the plane and flies to Beijing, and then goes an hour and a half north of Beijing to Tianmo, this agricultural valley.
I'm really, really, really seriously looking forward to be back in China.
Where else are you going to go to make a movie about China than China? All right, cut. I'll see you in China. I'll miss you. The Chinese are very warm and emotional people.
你好，
你好，你好吗？
你好吗？好，
好好，
非常好，非常想你，告诉他。
He misses you. He misses you.
If you have the proper respect for their culture, they'll meet you not half the way, but like 80% of the way.
我爱你。
我爱你。
I really enjoy working with Rob because he has great and healthy respect for the Chinese culture.
I basically told him we would have cultural clarity and we would not play fast and loose with the Chinese culture.
He's American, but I think he's a half of China.
I joke with him and I say, you know, I think you were Chinese in your past life. I think there's some truth in that.
It's this day one controlled chaos in Tianmo. We're setting up a nice little close-up of Alex, and the circus has definitely come to town.
We have indeed arrived here. The very idea of being in China is so extraordinary. You go, oh my God, look, a tree. And you're kind of excited.
China, day one. You know, what could be nicer? Wind, dust, the los of China blowing, good crew from 5-6 different countries all working together.
On set, somebody speak Chinese, Cantonese, English, French. I think it's cool.
Es freut uns siedens Trochtens. I gotta work with these guys.
But you can see everybody work very hard. We just can't have enough blue cards, I think. We've got about 60 of them, and the good thing is they're everywhere. They're always in shot, and they make lots of noise. In fact, there's one going through shot now.
When the camera setups move, we have to move with them. It seems quite confusing, but it's a kind of organization that we are getting used to.
三轮车其实在我们拍电影里面都很少用到这个，但是在这个地方就是用那个车来做拍摄的东西，运东西啊是很方便，他们也很开心。
We've got a number of Chinese military, real Chinese military these are.
The Chinese Red Army has arrived and they're doing some exercises in the area, and they happen to do their exercise right in our shot. The Army's training ground, that's where we're shooting, so we're guests. So we're waiting for them to finish.
They do not have official mummy set passes, so I'm going to ask you to go up there, explain to them, they got to move on.
I got mine too. I'm good.
I got mine, man. Now we're in the earth of China. We're not talking about China from Montreal, from sets. We're on the dirt.
I think Tianmo was quite special. When we were in the desert on that battleground field, it was breathtaking.
I just feel a new reality has gripped the picture, a new visual opportunity and a new reality that the actors are responding to because they feel it. And it feels as genuine as a movie can be because it is genuine.
Jogo! It's a wrap!
Tianmo was great. It's a totally different element to this.
Now we're in Shanghai, different culture. Now the whole world focus on China because the Olympic. Everybody look at China, China, China.
I saw Shanghai and I was just astonished at how much it reminded me of the Jetsons. Sheer sort of space age, spiky buildings.
These studios, I've got to say, are fantastic. It's the biggest studio backlot I've ever seen and ever worked in. This is actually the biggest of our sequences to do. This is the chariot fire truck chase.
This is the beginning of like 15 nights of shooting. I love night shooting because this is our world. And outside of the lights, there's people sleeping. And here we are in our little pool of light making some kind of magic. The colors, the control of the lights, the whole thing. It's just beautiful.
There is the entire city of Shanghai built on the Shanghai Studios backlot.
There's so much detail here in how we've recreated this street of Shanghai 1946, the main drag of the Bund when it was a glamorous international place. I just want to tell you how beautiful everybody looks.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, as good as the principals look, there isn't an extra here that looks anything but equal to the principals. What a job you and your team did. Now our job is to capture the essence.
It's not all just a virtual world. The actors get to come into these wonderful environments and feel like they're actually there.
I think it's going to be a chase to end all chases.
You have the sense of the largeness of it, and you're really trying to stage the biggest possible event and put our actors within this very large frame.
Really fake this stuff. You actually have to go there. You have to eat the food, you have to smell the smells, you have to meet the people, and it infuses the film with the environment.
Culturally, for us as actors to get to go and see China and to work with Chinese actors, with Jet Li, Michelle Yeoh, is great.
I just enjoy work every day. You know, I have 27 years of movie experiences. I know sometimes it's hard, you know, sometimes it's easy, but I just enjoy every day.
Just every day, being able to play. And it was one of the most fun things I've ever done in my life.
You know, you always hope for magic, and China's been just magic.
We're here to do a kick-ass good job. Have a great time doing it.
I really enjoy working in this movie. That's the most important things for me. Well, I like to say my dreams come true.
China's like all really beautiful experiences, is a state of mind. I've always found myself drawn here, and I will be back. It's been said that we mustn't forget the word history contains the word story within it. So as we set out to make this latest chapter of The Mummy, we vowed to remember just that. It's sort of a way to see what cultural vision is really all about. To push ourselves beyond simple research.
This is one of the other sets that we had to do, one of the bigger ones. This is actually the one with the terracotta army.
To blend reality and fantasy. These are pieces of the old wall left over from 2,500 years ago.
This place actually is a very valuable place, nearest ideal place for shooting near Beijing city.
And to be inspired by the great stories history has to tell.
That's the throne room up there?
This emperor is a military dictator, so his palace is much more of a fort. As long as we shoot here and there, we're good. All with the goal of making our movie more epic. This is the emperor's camp at the Ningxia pyramids for the opening shot. Someday there'll be 5,000 terracotta warriors out here. More adventures.
Plan! Divide and conquer!
The action is on. And more exciting. Kaisha! We're in the middle of a wild battle at this point. People with spears and arrows and bullets, charges and battle and guns, all this fun stuff. And to take the audience on one amazing ride.
3 years ago, Steve Summers, Bob Doucet, myself, Jim Jacks had been talking about the third mummy and what could it be.
When we decided, oh, let's do something different and fresh for the third mummy, let's take it somewhere else, and I had this idea about doing it all in China.
I'm a history buff, and I've always been fascinated by China. I have read an enormous amount on Chinese history, even before I came into this.
The level of attention to detail of the culture were essential ideas to Rob. And frankly, I think one of the reasons that Rob was so attracted to the film.
I saw in this my chance to do a movie about China.
Like everything, we do lots of research. People are like, oh, do research, but we honestly, we read everything we can. And I started reading all about the terracotta army.
And the idea was put on the table of the famous Xi'an warriors of China, and how cool would it be if a mummy could bring them to life, and the emperor mummy could raise an army, and of course, go out to conquer the world, which mummies seem to always have on their mind.
This emperor, I quickly thought, should be Jet Li. I think he's cool, he's handsome, he's an amazing martial artist, but he's got a great screen presence.
It's Jet Li, the man. Jet Li.
So I thought, how can I utilize that?
I love work with Rob very much, and he treated me like a brother.
He wasn't available for all the time we needed him. So I thought, well, what if Jet is the emperor? And then once he's cursed and turns into terracotta, I make Jet a terracotta CG character who talks and walks and acts like Jet, but he's made out of baked clay.
Jet Li in this movie is CG for a good portion of it. And one of the interesting things is we need to address the challenge of showing him have emotion and act while being made of a really hard material like that.
Making a CGI thing act and talk and be the essence of a real widely known actor, that's a whole new thing. The idea in this script that the terracotta warriors of Xi'an were in fact the mummies.
Most everyone that we tell that to, they go, that is a great idea, that's fantastic. I mean, there's so much mystery surrounding those. Why were they there? Why were they put there? What was the rationale behind it?
Each one was individually carved. You know, thousands of these things, and each one is completely different.
700,000 workers for 30 years. Underneath, they found stamps of approval and signatures of teams that said they had been past the inspection.
And I thought, oh, well, they look like real people, each one. And so I thought, well, let's bring them back to life. And we do.
Wait till they come out at the double step, at the quick step, with their weapons.
Oh, yeah.
They start coming up.
You couldn't ask for a source more accurate to build a screenplay around.
Are they holding spears?
Oh yeah, they're all holding their weapons in our version.
Using the emperor and all the terracotta warriors matched with the time where they were discovered, and so we thought, here we go.
So the beginning of the movie takes place in roughly 200 BC in China at the time of the first emperor, and then the rest of the movie is 1946.
This is all about using Chinese history in a kind of unusual way, having a lot of fun with it as we explore the true history of 200 BC and the state of affairs in China in 1946. China is on the front page of the newspaper almost every day now. It's a great place to look for a movie which has fantasy, has imagery, has history, has action up the yin-yang.
Magnificence and the grandeur that had so much to do with Rob Cohen's vision to make it bigger and better and more adventurous and more than you've ever seen.
Obviously, he had a huge palette to work with, and the movies that preceded gave a really rich background, to mine.
Using the great goodwill of the mummy, the great characters that Steve Summers set up, all of the good things, but to take it in a whole other direction, away from Egypt, into Asia, into the fastest growing country in the world.
Rob was very conscious of creating this era and this movie and bringing a new feeling to the making of the Mummy movies, expanding it from Egypt into Asia.
This is Yang's secret paramilitary camp, and these are Ming buildings from 200 or more years ago. We were originally going to do this as a yurt village to imply that Yang was a Mongolian from the north, but this is so much better. So it was a gift. When you get a gift, from the location gods, you take it.
Even though these movies are great fantasies that take a lot of liberties with the specifics, at the same time, there is an honesty to them because we go to the place that the movie is actually supposed to take place in.
It makes your job as an actor a lot easier. You don't have to use as-ifs or use a certain sense of memory of, you know, what you believe the thing. It just blows you away.
The acting is almost sort of secondary. You really only need to appear there.
The 200-year-old Beijing Opera Theater, that was the stage. As you can see in the Cultural Revolution, many of the ancient vintage touches here were covered up to say it's a brand new day and the past didn't exist, but thank God the past does live on. All history to me is political, and the Chinese history is some of the most masterful and devastating politics that ever went on. And this will be dressed as a military headquarters, maps of the Himalayas, maps of the excavation areas where the emperor's tomb is.
There's quite a lot of Chinese craftsmanship in the movie that gives the really true flavor, more than a flavor that can be passed on from just research.
There are so many talented sculptors, designers, artists, prop makers.
It's amazing how much details they put into every single thing they do. A little piece of wood would be carved in, little tiles on the roof would be carved in, everything is lined up. You got details of dragon head on the roof, which is just for the beauty of it.
The Chinese way of building and the way they love their history. They love their country and they know their country.
They're a tightly knit community. They really work like sort of like a tribe. That means something to me personally.
And of course, no building feat in Chinese history is greater than the Great Wall itself. Stretching over 4,000 miles, it's been estimated that between 2 and 3 million died as part of the centuries-long building project. Just the very audacity to think of a project this huge, thousands of miles of it, takes your breath away. A marvel of craftsmanship, its beauty, mystery, and mythology continued to inspire storytellers, and we were not immune to its allure.
There's an epic battle at the end of the film at the Great Wall. The terracotta warriors versus the Foundation soldiers.
They line up, and there's a huge battle between revived spirits from the wall who died building the Great Wall of China and the Terracotta Army that represents the forces that in fact enslaved them. It's a mythological battle.
There's clearly an intense rivalry between these two factions, sort of the good undead versus the evil undead.
One of the things that's important about the way that we've made all of our films is that we like to build really huge sets.
This is an accurate recreation of the construction process of the Great Wall of China.
And then we like to extend these sets digitally.
And digitally, we'll put in the Great Wall following what actually was a line of the Great Wall, of the old wall. They built several walls, not just the one everybody knows. And the first walls were tamped earth walls. And I believe this is part of that old wall. So it's kind of cool, karmically in a movie, that we're showing how it was done next to a section of the real wall. We're breaking all kinds of new ground. There's all little touches and big things. The avalanches, the creatures, the Yeti that come to save them in the Himalayas. This is all cutting edge, and the craftsmanship level is brilliant. I'll tell you what, Mr. Nigel, my talented production designer, has given me my dream. I think this is among the most thrilling moments for me. The fact that the historical thing, that the Great Wall of China is really right here, and that we're going to reconnect it. The amount of work he's generated in the 7-8 months since we met is phenomenal. And to have it come out with this kind of quality and scope, loving cultural detail for the true China, for the true Chinese past, as opposed to the Disneyland version of history, has been thrilling. I would like people to feel that the culture of China has been dealt with very fairly and very beautifully. But in the end, the Mummy movies are about just an escapist romp.
It's been enormously satisfying to be able to work on a franchise where so many people went on to recommend it to their friends all over the world.
I love it. I mean, you know, I love the franchise and I love the characters, and I just hope that it keeps getting better and better.
We really love these movies so much. You know, they're really meaningful to us. And to be able to bring these characters back to life has just been an absolute dream come true.
I think this movie is just a dream. You can base on some tradition, based on a little bit truth, then you create your own beliefs. You know, everybody can create something new. So evil.
Yeah. He's as evil as they get.
Don't take it too serious, say this is the documentary about the history. Just a fun movie.
We're not trying to do an historical documentary of China. It's not a political movie. And then when I see that, I'm gonna cut the light.
Find an interesting character, a lot of surprise, you will discover yourself.
It's a combination of imagery, a very fine cast, and this element of China right at the time where I think the whole world's consciousness is turning to China. And since I've been a Sinophile for, I don't know, the last 15 years, I've been just fascinated by this country, its people, its history. So it's kind of interesting to explore all this stuff and bring it in a breathless and very innovative way, colorful way, and glamorous way, really, to the audience.
We've got some of the actors and stunt guys rehearsing some of the fight scenes for the upcoming movie.
We're swinging on ropes and having full tilt martial arts fights.
I love it, man. This is kind of really, you know, what it's all about, you know? It was pretty intense action and wire work.
Gunfire and explosions.
Some of the fight, you've got Chinese versus Chinese. Some you've got Western guys fighting Chinese. So we're trying to break up the style a little bit, you know, make it a little bit more interesting.
It's just kicking off now. All hell's going to break loose soon.
Be Mike.
My name's Mike Lambert. I'm the fight choreographer on Mummy 3, and this is what fight choreography is all about. Everybody's different. Everybody moves differently, and sometimes, some people are more natural than others. We've just got to try and find out each individual's strengths and weaknesses and try to work with that and try to bring out the best in that person, you know. Honestly, the energy levels for me, you've moved up a gear. Good. Last week you were in second gear, now we're into third gear. We're trying to do just a little bit of everything, really, what looks good on camera. You know, some kicks from taekwondo, some wushu style kung fu moves.
Energy, ready, and action!
Lynn's character was more wushu. Obviously, she's Chinese, so she's like more wushu and flowing martial arts. Rick's style is more, obviously, he's not going to be too fancy, it's raw and ready. Yeah. Maria, that's Evie's character, she's a little bit more refined, so she's a little bit experienced in martial arts, but also she's got a little bit of street fighting as well.
I'm Alex O'Connell.
And then Alex, which is played by Luke Ford, he again is a little bit stylish, but again with a little bit of his father's sort of raw street fighting style mixed in.
As soon as I got the role, I had to start my martial arts training, so we went through a massive process of cardio, weights, and martial arts fighting for about 5 days a week for a good 2-3 months, and then down to 3 times a week just before filming, so you don't do any injuries.
My goal on this picture was just to be committed to not hurting myself in any way. So the best way to do that is to strengthen the muscles as best you can.
I did the sword training for a month in advance and the weapons training. And when I did the weapons training, the weapon guy was like, "Oh, you're good." I worked for a couple of weeks on wires. I loved it so much. I felt like Peter Pan.
Prepare to die!
We literally had 4 hours to shoot this whole sequence where I have to fly off of a curtain into something else, jump on a desk, do a handless cartwheel. And we had like 5 minutes to shoot the last thing, which was a flip off of a chandelier. And on the first take, I got it.
Here we go.
Yay! Did it look good? I watched the take back because everyone was laughing. I was like a little kid. I was like, oh my God, that was so much fun.
We're setting up for the big rope swings. Whenever you have to put the cameras in odd corners and stuff, you usually know you're on the right track.
Today we're swinging Alex and Lynn off the scaffolding and they take out two of the bad guys. Meanwhile, Brendan will dive off onto the floor to retrieve his guns. A fight starts between Evie and Choi at the same time. Alex is beating up Wilson, one of the other characters, so it's all happening in this sequence.
Yeah, this is my stunt. I'm actually quite nervous. The first big stunt I've ever done in my life, so hopefully it turns out really good.
Okay, now, action.
It's the climax of the Evie Choi fight, and what's going to happen is Evie's going to climb, and we call it a monkey climb. It's almost like a pseudo wrestling where she climbs her, wraps her leg around the neck, hits with an elbow, and then throws in some boxes. That's a pretty good gag.
Yeah, there you go.
So it should be pretty cool. Check it out.
Beat. Set. 3, 2, 1, go! Really good job. Believe me, when you see it on camera, it's really violent.
Oh, that was, for me, that was fantastic. Looks like Choi's not going to get up for about 3 weeks.
This is the part where Alex drops in from the top mausoleum part into the actual crypt. So we're just doing a gag where we'll suspend him above one of the horses and release him. And then the fight starts. We'll have Ming doubling Lin, and she's going to be bouncing around the walls, generally beating Alex up.
Probably the most interesting bit about it is Luke's fighting the assassin, who he thinks is a male ninja, but then a little bit later down the line, whips the mask off, and then lo and behold, it's a woman. So that's probably the most gender-bending sort of secret in this fight.
Lin is a girl that's immortal. She has a responsibility to protect the tomb, to protect the evilness that could come out of the Emperor if he was to be raised. And that's how I get involved, because here I am not thinking what the consequences of me opening this tomb are.
This is the last battle between Yuan and the Emperor. It's like they've been waiting thousands of years to finally live or die. This is it, the moment.
Lin's mother is played by Michelle Yeoh. We always imagined her in this role. We started talking about who could play the villain. Jet Li was the first person that came to mind.
Two great icons of Chinese cinema going head-to-head for the first time. In this part of the world, they are gods. They're in the pantheon of cinema. So to see the two of them together is quite wonderful. Very exciting for me.
For my part, the whole movie, that's the most exciting day, you know, fight with Michelle. She's one of my best friends. It's amazing, you know.
He's fantastic. Always was, always will be. And he's just so accurate, which really makes it, you feel safe when you fight with him.
We're having a fight sequence with Jet Li and Brendan Fraser. It's the Battle of the Titans. And you pull out the blade and it's fused.
I pull it out fused?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I hear it's a good script. I should read it sometime.
Ready and action! Cut! We did well on the first quarter of the fight, or the Jet side of the first half. Now we're doing the Brendan side of the first half. In round one, the Emperor is the winner. In in round 2, Rick O'Connell, the Emperor has to use tricks to get himself out of the mess.
Rick's studying a form of it's like an Israeli martial arts called Krav Maga, and it's basically a real, like, practical sort of street fight art. Very short, sharp, direct moves like A to B.
Krav Maga is a system of combat defense. If you think of it as a triangle, you go to the problem rather than let it come to you. When someone's going to strike you overhead, you go to the problem. Block, counterattack.
You walk up into it, towards the light, and the crane will follow.
Jet Li, he swings an arm at you, and it hit the fringe of my hair the first time. And, you know, I thought, that was close. So we were gonna go for another take, and he swung the same thing again, and it hit the hair again. He's that precise. He knows exactly what he's doing. There's really no margin for error in working with him. He'd come over and he'd sort of poke my chest to make sure I was wearing a chest pad, because it's gonna put a boot into me.
This time I also have a fight scene with him. He's a very tough guy, very tough, very strong.
B marker! B marker! Mark!
2 movie icons, both known for their physicality. So the idea of a big, real, brutal, exciting mano-a-mano fight between them, I think is cool. And something you haven't seen before.
Fighting, it's a dance, really. It's a performance. We're creating something that doesn't really exist.
We're just trying to find original ways of doing moves that we've seen before, but trying to shoot them differently and perform them differently. But hopefully every little fight will have something special that will make the audience go, oh, that was cool.
I thought, what if Jet is the Emperor? And then once he's cursed and turns into terracotta, I make Jet a terracotta CG character who talks and walks and acts like Jet, but he's made out of baked clay.
One of the things that's really exciting about the concept of his character is that he becomes a terracotta warrior. And that creates a lot of complications and difficulties in bringing that character to life.
This is all cutting edge animation and composite work and working with my favorite 2 houses, Digital Domain and Rhythm and Hues.
You raised the bar, I guess, in trying to make the most photoreal mummy movie so far.
We have what I'm calling a liquid solid in the Terracotta Emperor and the Terracotta Warriors. If it was clay, they're going to crack, but they have to move, so they crack and they reform.
This whole notion that Rob Cohen had of a liquid solid, that was a route that required some analysis and software being used in a design way that hadn't been done before. It's a preliminary test of what Jet Li's face might look like when he's a terracotta emperor. The main goal is to keep his face looking like it's a terracotta statue and not a flexible, elastic human face.
It's not makeup, it's actually a 3-dimensional thing. And the way we move it is by very, very complex measurements of Jet's actual face acting this part.
In reading the script, when Jet Li gets cursed to stone, I saw this as sort of an extraction of life out of him sort of dehydrating and weathering, and went along a thought process of how we would do that. Rob wanted him to literally exude a liquid terracotta. So mud-like terracotta oozes out of every pore, every crack, crevice in his body. First of all, from his eyes, so he looks at this thing and what's this stuff? He's not sure what's going on. He runs into the room and it starts to pour out of his eyes, pour out of his nose. He vomits this thing. It's an unpleasant procedure. It starts to fall out of his hairline, down his top knot. So as mud pours out of every surface, it starts to take on the shape, the form of his soon-to-be terracotta body.
So this is an earlier test that Dennis did
who was our puke man on the show. It took us a while to get here because it's hard to actually get the fluid to bounce correctly. So this is actually a bunch of fluid sims where we shoot stuff out of his mouth. We shoot an extra bounce on his hand just to get some kind of cool interaction and break up on it. We were all sitting in meetings discussing vomit and how it bounced and acting it out, and more than one time we all realized that we actually get paid to talk about vomit.
Doing liquid simulations is a hard thing, as most people are hopefully are aware, but to connect it with a continuously deforming and changing object, i.e. Jet Li in this case, that's really tricky.
So once he gets totally covered in the mud, then the spiritual torches ignite. As Rob initially described it as 100 acetylene torches all over his body that bake him alive, turn the clay into terracotta. So it's a very painful scene.
So he gets cursed in the previous shots, and he ends up being totally covered in mud, or terracotta mud. And in the curse, there's also a baking moment. So there's a few shots of him being lit on a magical fire of some sort. Joel Hynek shot a lot of reference for us, like burning stuff, shooting different torches. No one really knew what the end result was going to be until we started getting closer to it.
Today we were capturing Jet Li in 3 ways. We're capturing him cyber scan, his 3D form. We're capturing his facial animation, which is everything he's going to say while he's terracotta. So we just did it in a way that captured beautifully through image metrics the subtle actions of his face. And then we also did a calibration run where we made him do every extreme thing he could do with his face, up, down, all around, lips, nose, flare, everything. So we can calibrate our rig for his range of motion. This will make him come alive, whether he's terracotta or whether he's, in the flesh. So first we just made a terracotta form that was exactly Jet Li. It was, based on his cyber scan, and it just didn't look that good. And something Rob really wanted to get across was that each one of those terracotta soldiers, the way they stylized their form, you really felt you knew who it was. They were that individualized. They were that distinct. And so we had to do the same thing with Jet. You had to know it was Jet, but still stylize it in the fashion of all those terracotta soldiers.
So this is the first shot. We pretty much started development of the face cracking. And that also went through a couple of stages. We started out with actually breaking the face as he talked and revealing pretty large cracks in his face with a pretty thick depth. And the more we worked on that, the more it occurred to us that it was kind of distracting. Like we lost a lot of Jet's performance because you just saw these big gaps opening up in the face and you didn't really get any of the facial animation. So Rob decided to go back to kind of a hybrid version where his rock face kind of deforms, but it still breaks and chips. So here you can see as he moves, cracks appear on the face, and as he moves more, they crack to a finer level, and then they seal back with this glowy magma effect.
Jet Li embodies several different computer-generated characters. He has been doing all types of motion capture and facial capture that will be used in driving the performance of these creatures. So even when it's not Jet Li the person, it's still Jet Li the spirit. And I think that the audience will find it very visually compelling.
I'm looking forward to really seeing how it all flows together, and what is the most exciting part, I guess, what really gets me. I always love, seeing a movie for the first time when it's been released and sort of have my own little meter going to see what of the work that we did, what sort of is the most effective. And that's sort of, I think, what drives us, actually.
It's a fun movie. It's entertaining. It's just fun. It's the sort of movie I like to go and see and just be entertained. I mean, you've got Rick O'Connell fighting very realistically with these terracotta warriors. That's kind of cool, and it's comical, so it's entertaining. And I think that most people who go see a mummy movie want to have that sort of entertainment.
3-headed dragons, Yeti, foo dogs come to life, 2,000-year-old warriors fighting terracotta army big stuff.
The thing that is amazing about this movie, and I have to say it's a tradition of the Mummy films, is that we've had just the most incredible sets. Nigel Phelps, who is our production designer on Mummy 3, he's topped everything that we've done before in the other two pictures by a big margin.
Mr. Nigel Phelps was my talented production designer. When we first met, we shared a dream of doing this movie on an enormous scale. And in his mind, detail by detail, that desire became a physical, artistic reality.
And that's the wall. That's 400 feet of wall.
Now, how big is that this wall? Like 10 inches in diameter?
When we ended up shooting a lot of the soundstage work in Montreal, they built just fantastic sets. It's really a great credit to the craftspeople up there.
Every set is a big surprise to me. You know, you go in there and you're just shocked by it, you know, and you want to get your camera out and take photos. It makes your job as an actor a lot easier.
I think as an actor, you don't like to work with green screen because you don't really get a feel of the place. You know, your imagination can take you up to a certain level, but when you walk onto a set, the grandeur, the size, the height of it takes you into that place. So it helps how you become that character. It's very important.
He must rest.
It was incredible to see the sets, especially in Montreal, to see the inside of the cave where Michelle Yeoh lives with the reclining Buddha. It was something that you've never seen before. And to see the attention to detail was just incredible.
Is this Shangri-La?
This is the first set Nigel and I developed and drew. In my head and in Nigel Phelps' that we've developed that everything has an artist's vision. This set relates to me personally as a practitioner of Buddhism. I always wanted to create in this set a kind of hidden, secret Tibetan shrine, you know. We've done a good job.
It feels like finding a real archaeological world wonder. They have so many artisans and sculptors and plasterers and painters who actually, you know, do the textures. Look at this stuff, it's solid. You know, it's practical.
Watch out! There was a set built called for the mausoleum where they redid the terracotta warriors, and that was just phenomenal. You know, it was just epic. It's not even a set, it's a reality.
Well, it's my imagined tomb of the emperor, the way it was in Xi'an before it was vandalized and burned, and ultimately all the terracotta warriors were smashed. I always imagined, even before the mummy, before this came up, what did that look like the day they sealed it up? This is the missing tomb of the first emperor of China. Yeah, just right? Yeah. They still haven't found it today in real life.
Rob has placed the emperor's tomb below the terracotta warriors.
Action!
The interesting thing is they recovered a certain part below the terracotta warriors right now in Xi'an, and they are wondering if it could be the emperor's tomb. And it seemed perfect. It sort of ties in fact and fiction. It is just amazing. I mean, when I was walking through there, it gave me the creeps.
There it is! We found it!
The gateway of Shangri-La.
We are right now, I guess what we're calling the gateway to Shangri-La. Incorporates a rope bridge, and this is going to be tied into our adjacent courtyard set.
When we cut the film together, there might be a little set extension here and there, but you're really seeing and feeling the whole texture and the physical reality of the set.
Well, this one is a little bit different than the others in that we're incorporating a lot more digital effects into this set. Our outdoor sets are not final, and they are going to have digital enhancement.
And if you look down here, you see you've got a nice blue screen here, so we're going to see this huge drop that falls away underneath this bridge, all through the magic of visual effects.
It's going to be pretty cool, but everything we've been doing has been pretty amazing.
And the production department in Montreal did a fantastic job on this movie. And then we moved to China and shot the rest of it over there, and it all turned out great.
China has backlots and standing sets that you could not build for any amount of money at any other studio in the world. What we've done is taken the bare bones of those sets and created spectacular cityscapes and temples out of them. It's really grand what's been pulled off.
We're in Hengdian, China, where they have built these enormous standing sets. Obviously not easily done on a one-off basis in an American movie. But when a government gets involved in filmmaking, this is the kind of thing that can resolve. I mean, this is a $100 million set, but we get to use it.
But we could utilize the existing doors and utilize that tunnel. And basically just clad this front.
It's quite remarkable. I almost felt myself feeling a bit envious, wishing like, I want to be in the part of the movie that was 5,000 years earlier so I can be in the shot with a really cool set piece there.
We are in Shanghai streets where it's crazy busy, insane. Everything's real, so it's really good fun.
In Shanghai, we discovered this incredible backlot where there are several city blocks of period Shanghai. I don't know how we would have photographed this sequence if we hadn't found this backlot.
This street was pretty challenging because basically it's a back lot with just the building structures, and all the life that you see in this studio was added in by us. I had more assistants and more crew than I've ever had on any movie. I mean, I think all total, working with me, 250 to 300 people, just in set decoration. That's a lot of people. So there's quite a lot of Chinese craftsmanship in the movie.
There's so much detail here in how we've recreated this street of Shanghai 1946. It's done with such love by our Chinese and international crew. It's quite beautiful, the colors, the control of the lights. It's just magical.
Pull it off and have it all ready at the same time so the film company could go anywhere they wanted. That was pretty challenging.
It's a wrap! I tell you what, Mr. Nigel has given me my dream. The amount of work he's generated in the 7-8 months since we met is phenomenal. And to have it come out with this kind of quality and scope has been thrilling. So I owe him more than I can ever really say.
Thank you, man.